And then last time, if there's any other notice, you know, Sarah comes to me, I'm like, I just really wish I somehow to make like is it okay if we contact you directly and say, just because you know that the designer your core team would know, and just say, hey, what's the first way to something else? I would work that to you guys.
The best.
Will?
So I guess I'm talking towards when, because I don't really know Anderson. I mean, it's early and we're good.
And don't worry, 111 will be all that stuff. It's just
I should. It seems like it's groups right along with instructional design. Understanding how to get information and how to like tell stories. Let's see, we're supposed to start now, right? I think so. Yes. 11:50. We're up and going then. I don't know who's on the camera or if our online folks can see us. Online folks, welcome. And face-to-face folks, welcome. If you're online, I'd highly recommend, if you haven't done this already, go ahead and pull up the iLearn course and find our slides. And it might be easier to see them with better resolution. You know, there you can kind of follow along a little bit, whatever, but you might be able to see the slides better with better resolution. You just pull up the course online. And for those participating with us here, by all means, feel free to check the slides back if you know, if we breeze over things that you wanted to dig into in greater detail or something like that. So we should start with some introductions. I'm Peter Williams. I'm the Curriculum Development Director. And so in Curriculum Development, we have, well, I guess I'll introduce the team in a minute, but we've got designers working with course leads to design and develop courses. We also have instructional media development group working with us to try and help create pieces within those courses. It's good to see so many of you and some of you that I recognize and know from the past. Is it Bart? Good to see you, Bart. Let's see, I've also got Jim Croasmun here and Steve Willis. Why don't you guys introduce yourself?
Sure, Jim Croasmun. I've been here with the online learning since the inception, and I'm a curriculum designer, so I help make online courses.
Steve Willis. I'm not a designer, but I work in course improvement, which is kind of a sister department to curriculum development. And I help get designers attached to projects that course leads or OCRs need to improve the quality of courses. I also help gather data, information, and kind of act as a bridge between online and on campus to hopefully get things done.
Awesome. So we've got a 3-person dog and pony show for you here today. And we're not necessarily just going to stick with the flow the whole time through and worrying just a little bit about that. I thought it might be good to start off with just a 3-minute summary. The lightning talk got me in this mode. I don't know if it does this for you, where you're like, come on, get to the point. I need it now in like 5 minutes or less so I can decide whether I stay here or leave. So we'll give you the short encapsulated version here really quickly. And then I'd love to just take a second and find out what are some of your questions about the curriculum development process or the course improvement process so that we can try and make sure that we get to those at some point in the presentation today. We've got a director who doesn't do much, just watches other people do stuff. We've got a designer who does all the magic, working with course leads. And we've got Steve Willis, who makes everything else happen once the course is actually live. So we've got good people here to answer some of those kinds of questions. So we'll just give you this little clip. Now, I'm not actually going to click on it here because this just goes to a link. So online folks, if you want to pull this up, if it's easier quality or whatever to view the video yourself, you're welcome to do that. It's BYU-Idaho.edu/curriculum-development. And then you can locate the Our Processes tab. and you get this cute little video. We got sounds too. We do.
Life cycle of a BYU-Idaho.
Oh, and can we maximize the screen? Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Oh.
Online course. First of all, the Dean's Council works with different colleges and departments to determine which classes will be developed into online courses. Once a course has been selected, the department appoints a course lead. A course lead is a department member who has experience teaching the face-to-face on-campus class. He or she acts as a subject matter expert. Since this vital role requires an extensive time commitment, departments will accommodate for this time in the course lead's teaching schedule. Simultaneously, the online department assigns an instructional designer, known as the curriculum designer, to the project. The course lead and the curriculum designer form what is called the course council. They, along with a team of student employees, will design and build the course. During the pre-development semester, the course council meets together a few times to review the course outcomes and objectives to ensure the online course aligns with the face-to-face classes. They also begin planning for any textbook, video, or audio needs for the course. The development semester contains the most concentrated effort in the course development process. The course council works together closely, meeting at least weekly to compile all the necessary components, such as assignments, labs, quizzes, etc. Some face-to-face learning activities transfer well to an online course, while others need a completely different approach in order to be successful in an online classroom. In addition to the work of the course council, media developers create graphics and videos for the course. Furthermore, all other outside resources, such as library materials and external software tools, are incorporated at this time. During the review semester, a team of copy editors reviews the course to confirm that all links and activities function correctly, that it upholds BYU-Idaho delivery standards, is accessible to all disabled students, has clear and concise wording, and that the course meets legal criteria. Once the online course has been created and reviewed, one section of the newly designed course is taught to students during the pilot semester. An online adjunct instructor joins the course council to teach this section of students. Each week, the course council evaluates previous, current, and upcoming lessons and makes necessary adjustments to the permanent version of the course. An important transition occurs at the end of the pilot semester. The curriculum designer leaves the course council, which now consists of the course lead and a lead online instructor, known as the Online Course Representative, or OCR. The college department now retains complete stewardship over the course. The course council, aided by the online course improvement team, monitors all sections of the course and makes any necessary adjustments. These alterations may be as small as changing sentence syntax or as large as replacing lesson content. If the modifications are extensive, the course may even be redeveloped. The course is constantly improving. If online courses are designed correctly, multiple sections can be offered. There are several courses containing over 100 sections of enrollment. This massive development effort by faculty, designers, and student workers continues to bless the lives of students throughout the world.
So there you go, that you got the short, concise version. Now let me say a few things about this video. First of all, the main point of this particular site is for course leads. It's kind of internal facing to the university. We use this to help communicate with faculty here on campus about our roles as we work together in developing a course. And that's my most common mode, actually, in explaining the curriculum development process. It's explaining it to faculty. Oh, come on in. And the online folks love to see that there are more people piling in. So, anyways, that's my most common mode, is explaining this to course leads that we're working with. As you listen to the video, you have the nice calming music. I don't know if you noticed the nice calming music. That's because when you bring a course lead in who has their 15 credits of teaching on campus, and you tell them, hey, we want you to publish a textbook. They're like, they just kind of die, and we have to help just calm them down. We're going to be here to help. You're going to have leave as we actually develop it, and It's actually best if we don't write a textbook, if we use some digital resources that are already available, and we go through that process. To show it to this audience, I wish I could just switch the music that's going, so it's like exciting, dun, 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 because we're developing some awesome, exciting courses to work with. Let's do this though. At this point, Steve, do you want to describe? Let's just use this little corner. We've got a whiteboard and a marker.
I have a question before you move on.
Good.
Did you and Christina pose for those images that were?
I didn't, but I was thinking that did look a lot like Christina, who's another one of our designers that we have here. So that's a great question.
Or Tim like traced your outline.
Yeah. So help us know here. What questions do you hope we really hit today? What questions do you have about the development or improvement process?
I just have another question. Are you using designer, developer, are they the same thing?
Yep. I'm blurring that. The curriculum designer usually serves in a design consultant role, so with an instructional design background, as well as the project manager role for the project, as we work with faculty who could tell you awesome stuff about a subject area for a long, long time, but might not have a course to show for it afterwards unless we have a project manager helping to pace the group and move through things, as well as in the development role. To tell you the truth, we use an army of student employees that we use, to help with the assembly and iLearn. We've got media development resources, we've got, anyway, so other resources going into that as well. But I'll slip between words just a little bit.
If you want to talk about this later, be fine. My course I'm piloting it for the third time now in iLearn 3.0. And there's some work that needs to be done, new textbook. And so I guess I'm wondering to submit it for improvement or for redevelopment, which would have higher priority, which would get it done faster.
Great question. Let's
Does that make sense?
So which path?
Yes, which path?
Choosing redevelopment or improvement as a strategy from an OCR perspective, that's great. And maybe it'd be good also to throw in there how to request improvements from instructors. Put that up there as well. What if you're not the OCR? Great, let's go in the back and then up here to Will.
So the course leads, from what I was understanding, there's a faculty member usually that is that person.
Yep.
What do they have or in regards to designing like the classes for Pathway, the course lead for that, since usually that's not taught here on. I mean, I realize they may be teaching like that same religion class here online, but it's a very different.
Yep.
What kind of feedback do you get from Pathway in order to help with the design phase?
For like GS 120 life skills, for the introductory English writing
classes that are out now, doing it with Pathway, there are some differences with a full-time BYU-Idaho student doing it online.
Great question.
Does that make sense?
Yep. How do we get pathway-specific input and feedback into our courses, starting with that academic start, but what about after that as well, into the other courses?
Well, and particularly since Pathway is going to be such your big growth, you're going to have a lot more students as the years go by with Pathway. We try really hard to get it to where they took like the discussion boards out for the online classes for Pathway because they're already doing the gathering. But now we're hearing, and they started to go out with the 2.0 or whatever, but now we're hearing iLearn 3, they're throwing them back on. So where is that input? Like a faculty member here that's doing the religion classes would say, hey, yeah, discussion boards are great for everyone that's just doing it online, but that doesn't apply for Pathway. So you see what I'm saying? With such a big group, who is your course lead that's getting that feedback?
Great question. What others? Any others that you want to make sure we hit about the development process? Will, that's right.
This might coincide with some of this, but people saying I piloted my course in 2.0 and then the next semester in 3.0, and then I was made OCR over myself basically. And now this semester, unbeknownst to me, like 2 weeks into the class, that I found out there's somebody else teaching the course. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I probably should have fixed beforehand. That I knew the pain points and where to go. So now I'm just trying to figure out like how to best proceed because I was just kind of working with the course design and stuff before.
So how to get improvements made to a course after pilot? Is that a good summary of the idea?
Yeah, just in general, just making improvements to the
Good.
course. That's where to go about that.
Let's see, we have one back here and then up here.
So, might be a little off topic. I'm interested in the criteria for doing an online course. You know, is it volume or what goes into the decision making?
Good. How do we choose online courses? Prioritize projects, even not just for developing a new one, but how do we prioritize improvement projects that we have for courses? That's great. And let's see, up here and then back.
So I'm in family history, and I know we are a different kind of kettle of fish, I guess, but so if,
Awesome kettle. We got 18 family history courses, the whole program, right?
yeah.
It's an awesome kettle.
Except that we don't really, like the course lead, I don't know who created my course. And I'm the OCR for my course also. I don't even think that, so when there's questions with the course or it's maybe a little bit, it needs improvement, and I'm not sure where they're trying to go, like the objective of the class in certain, lessons or whatever. I don't even know who created it or who to go to. I know Meg is now our course lead, but she wasn't the one who created any of them, or isn't necessarily a specialist in British research, which is what I teach.
Right.
How are we supposed to resolve these things if we don't know who created our class?
Yeah, good question. And family history is a good, unique kettle in that sense. For those who don't know anything about our family history program, I'll just explain this briefly, and that is, BYU-Idaho is working to establish partnerships, and BYU-Idaho doesn't have a family history program here on campus. And so we've partnered with Family Search to develop these courses and offer this program. And so anyways, this is an interesting situation where we're trying to figure out how do we have course leads and ongoing representation when actually we don't have professors here on campus who regularly teach it or the experts at it.
Yeah, that's what you say, because Meg knows a lot, but she's not an expert in my class.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Who's the...
Great questions. We might
Okay.
chat a little bit more about that one offline afterwards. Let's take one more and then we'll
I'm really glad that she went first because
Are you in family history too?
No. Though it is fun. I want to pitch a course, but there's no expertise on campus in that area. Though in industry it's definitely a high need, and I'm not even certain which department it would fit in. So what information would I need? I helped Johns Hopkins develop very similar course, and who do I need to give that information to? So I can give a lot of detail or not a lot, but I
Great question. So how do we propose a topic for a course if the course hasn't been developed?
Yeah.
Whether it exists here on campus or not?
Yeah.
How do we start that process? Great question.
I have that
Okay.
same one too.
Okay, good. Well, let's do this. I showed my black screen there for a while because I was worried that I was going to get hypnotized up here and you wouldn't even know with the lights shining. Let's speed through just a couple of things because it might help with some of the structure on this. And then let's make sure we do get to the selection. Let's breeze through really quickly a couple of things. First of all, we have courses that kind of go through two different stages. You can oversimplify it this way at least. And that is we have courses that are in new or redevelopment phase. This is our 4th semester process. We can dig into that a little bit. And then we also have courses that are in continuous improvement. After your course pilots, you kind of go into this mode, okay? If your course is being redeveloped, you're in this mode, right? And we handle things a little bit differently when we're in those different situations, so we'll walk through that just a little bit. But first, what I thought might be good is to go through just a little bit this development process, and we'll just highlight a few that, what time do we have to go till? So we can pace ourselves a little bit. So 12:30? Let's do this. How about Jim and I will dog and pony back and forth a little bit for like 5 minutes. We'll flip through and just, I'll mention what we're doing, and then Jim will show you this is how it's done, and here are some of the problems that come up doing this. One of the reasons we wanted to do this is because I'm the director who says this is how everything really ought to be done, and then Jim's the designer who says, well, actually, when we're working with real live people, we're arm wrestling and stuff, and you know, things don't always go so smoothly as you think. So we want you to hear the good and the bad and the ugly. It's back and forth, okay? That's all out on the
Does that make
table.
me the ugly then? I don't know. I'm not liking that.
Let's see, we'll do the good and bad, and Steve will do the beautiful. But then I'd love to get to, after that 5 minutes, give Steve some time to give you some bones on the continuous improvement phase and how we go about that. I think that'll get at some of the questions about how do we prioritize, how do we submit a project and start getting that done, those sorts of questions, so watch for those in there. And then we'll spend our last 5 minutes or so trying to do some cleanup and see what questions we missed that we can get to. So in the development process, I said 4 semester, and it most commonly is 4 semesters. This phase is like, we're trying to help get the course lead warmed up and ready so we can hit the ground running when they have, you know, lots of time and resources all gathered around a course lead to develop. You know, we're double tripling the time that the course lead has got, and the course lead's got 9 to 12 hours a week to spend on this project. So anyways, we've got lots of resources all collected together, want to hit the ground running in that. At this phase though, in preparation, real light on the committees or on the faculty side, but this is where we're selecting courses and getting ready for a kickoff meeting. How do courses get selected? We have an online development council that consists of an associate dean from each of the colleges, as well as the dean of online programs and his associate dean. I know a lot of deans, huh? Okay, but his associate dean also came out of the business department and is awesome with market analysis, pathway question, and how do we connect stuff or whatever. First of all, we want to be pulling from the market what they, you know, we want the market to be pulling from us what the market really needs. And it goes along with like the Give Me 5 marketing, advising for students and how we do that. But we're trying to find out which programs would be most beneficial for students in different regions. Let's look back now and see, well, what resources do we have to pull together that kind of a degree? And then we try and prioritize it by the demand and things for new courses. For redevelopments, sometimes it's a question of, you know, how bad a shape is it in? How are we doing? Let's look at the course evaluations. Let's look at the performance scores and everything. Let's also look at how many students are in this program and in this course. So those are some of the things that we use to help prioritize. We have a kickoff meeting that shows the calm you down video, you know, and then we explain a little bit about the process there. So we work through an analysis process, introduce them to some of the resources that we have, including library and media resources, and we produce outcomes and architecture. Jim, you want to chat about this, or do you want to talk about the course map? What should be most useful?
Sure, just really quick, outcomes architecture. We try.
Come over here so that the online folks can see your smiling.
Oh, that's not what I, so we try and get the outcomes to match what we have here on campus, unless it's a FGen course, then it's different. So that's our touching point. It's a course. And now how we deliver that course, you know, online, face-to-face, doesn't matter. They've got to have the same outcomes. And so that's one of the big goals during that opening, that pre-development semester, is make sure those outcomes are the same. We usually don't have too many problems with that. We also try and get our faculty members to work with us to talk about, okay, how are we going to get generally people to prepare? What are some good teach one another strategies, which we look at, ponder, improve, and then we just try and get a few, you know, 3 or 4 words for each week, just as a bare bones outline. It's really hard to go from teaching face-to-face and thinking of days to now thinking of, okay, smear that into a week. So that's our biggest goals, I think, during this this pre-development semester.
Okay, stay up here because we'll go back and forth. Pre-development semester, then we move on to the development semester. In the development semester, this is where the magic's really happening. Rubber's meeting the road. You got hands and legs flailing everywhere trying to get a course done, right? So we start though with this course map, which takes this and expands it into greater detail, trying to get, you guys have seen course maps. I got to remember who I'm talking with here. See course leads when they're coming in, a lot of times they haven't seen an online course before and we go through that. We put together a shell. One strategy thing I'll explain here is, boy, if we can produce a whole lesson, you know, like a prototype lesson, and get some review and feedback on that prototype lesson before we go through the rest of the development process, that's so helpful, and we can create a critique on the patterns that we're going to be replicating throughout the course. And then the main deliverable of this semester, of course, is the complete course, adding in media objects and course notes. I'd love to hear, if we have time to at the end, what you guys think of the course notes that you see and how those are doing, if they're helpful and stuff. But Jim, tell us a little bit about what can go bump in the night here and how that happens.
Right, there's a bunch of things. First of all, it's great to work with faculty. It's great to have a committee working on these courses with us. Now we have 14 weeks to build courses, and that's contingent upon the faculty member here on campus getting a leave, a 3-hour leave to work with us. That's why we're confined to those 14 weeks. They get 1 semester off from 1 course to come work with us. Time is our biggest resource. So you may be asking yourself as you're teaching some of our courses, why the heck did they do it this way? Why are they using these rotten test questions? Or maybe you don't say that, but why did they do it this way? Most of it comes down to time. 14 weeks to put things together. So we can create new content sometimes, but not a whole lot. We have a videographer, a graphic designer, most of the time. So we can do some videos and some graphics. And this isn't an excuse session, an apology section, but that's reality. We have so much time, and then we have to have the course built. We also have different ideas. First of all, sometimes we get faculty members who are assigned to work on these courses who think online is low quality. And so we have to work with people on that, showing most of it comes down to data. The data shows that online courses are statistically the same as far as learning outcomes as face-to-face courses. So I would say time is our biggest ally and enemy. It's good to have the 14 weeks. That makes us get it done, but we got to get it done in 14 weeks.
Awesome. So let's see. Just flipping through some of these. This probably would have been a more appropriate slide to throw up here, Jim, while you were talking, right?
That's great.
I throw stuff up.
Yeah.
That's better than throwing up stuff. Okay. So yeah, negotiating solutions, like Jim was talking about. It's tricky. You gotta negotiate things. So let's see. Lesson notes, producing those. Those are becoming, I think, a little bit more templatized and standardized over time. We're working on some things to improve there. And review semester. let's give you the whirlwind on the review semester. So after we produce a course, negotiating those ideas and slowly putting more and more meat on them, we send a course in to review. The idea here is we have some standards of what we hope every course has every time. I could show those to you. We could go through them in more detail. You can certainly find them from our site. And then we want to have product testing on this thing. So we've got students who go through and review it with a student mindset, asking, do I understand these instructions? Where are the resources they're talking about? Can I find them okay? And we try and product test our way through it there, not actually doing the activities, but walking through the motions of doing all the activities at least. Then this is all just transparency, right, and frankness. Instructor reviews. This has been something that has been aspirational. We have worked and worked at it, haven't quite gotten there yet, but we really want to have the instructor product testing before we actually get to pilot. We've had this sometimes here and there, but we've wrestled over, is that the pilot instructor who does that? Or is that like an instructor trainer kind of person who's done a lot of online courses, facilitator who can pick out and go, that activity right there, your instructor's gonna die trying to facilitate that thing, Anyway, so we're actually doing that in fall with our developments. We've already picked out the courses we're doing it with. We're gonna have the instructor involved much more in that review phase and in the brainstorming phase back in here on like a development contract to do a couple things, yeah.
Will that be a brand new instructor or a seasoned instructor?
That's what we've wrestled with. We think we're going with the seasoned, but we're trying to get seasoned in the discipline family, at least, to try and get the best of both worlds. Then we check all of our important cross T, dot I, legal, logistical kind of stuff. So then we pilot. How many have been through pilot before? So most everybody's been through pilot. I'm not going to talk too much about that. We've got some roles and responsibilities that we go through in pilot. The main idea being, how's this working? We had an idea of how it would work. How is it working? How are the times? Are the times about right on instructor load, student load? Is this really hitting the outcomes of students? Do they understand the exercises and the activities? Try and address those kinds of questions. Let's give Steve his promised 5 minutes to whirl through some of that stuff, and then we'll do a cleanup on our questions and see where we're at. Okay. I guess let me give this one last bit of segue as we're getting Steve up here. So as we move into this course improvement realm, it's so much about counseling within your course council. So if you're the instructor, talking with your OCR, if you're the OCR, making sure you're talking with your course lead somehow and figuring out what improvements and fixes to sort of batch up and put together.
With my time remaining, I think what I wanted to show is probably this. We've never been in a better position at the university of gathering data. It's been difficult in the past, and sometimes we've gathered it and didn't know what to do with it, or didn't have a mechanism to, oh, too close to the camera. Fine. We got a fish-eye here. We didn't know what to do with it all the time. So we gather all these metrics and this data, but then what do? There hasn't been the technology, the tools, the LMS limitations, things that just held us back from really using it powerfully. These are just some of the sources that I listen to when I want to know about a course. There's R&D, which is a team on my department. They're always looking at how do other universities solve these problems? What are the options out there? What are the crazy mad scientist ideas that we could try to push the boundaries on online learning? There's evaluation and review, which we've talked a bit about. There's instruction and operations departments, those who hired you and provide the training for you. They have all kinds of information from your surveys. The support center, this is the main filter for BYU-Idaho. Students, instructors call all the time for a variety of things that gets to us. Live course reviews is where we might take 10 or 15 courses every semester, and we'll do a deep dive into those courses. We'll have the review team go through it again. Maybe it was built 5 years ago. Has anything crept into the course that's making it deviate from the outcomes that it should have? Is it still a clean course as far as copyright, as far as grammar, spelling, all those things? Is it still relevant? Is the content outdated? The designers that help in these reviews typically call and interview some of the instructors to see just how is it going, how does it feel? And obviously you're familiar with tickets. Submitting tickets goes straight to the maintenance team. But we also gather information on that. We process hundreds and sometimes thousands of tickets every semester across the portfolio. And so we have, this is just a handful of the sources we're listening to right now. And as they come in, we might have ticket data where a student says, this is, a problem in the course, their instructor submits it. And we can cross-check that. How long has this been a problem? Are the instructors talking about this being a problem? Do we need to kick off a project to update the content? Do we need to check into something? Every semester we'll have random emails, that a student will email President Gilbert directly. Those are the fun ones to get. This course has this problem, and I want it fixed right now. And so that'll come down to us. And so we can check, we can kind of triangulate, is this real? Is this a real problem, or is this just a student who's unhappy with maybe their specific circumstance? But based on the information we can gather, we don't have outlets that we can provide solutions for. Well, these are some of the things, just as examples. Some of the metrics we are able to see across time. These are some of the things we look at. Some of them are actionable, some are age. But even age, knowing that our age of a student is going up in this particular course, does that determine how we design it? Does that determine how we build it, what the interaction is like? And it compares course with their department and all of online. So the departments can see, and the course leads and the OCRs, how is our course doing? Are we on track? These are the comments from students we look at for improvement. At the end of the course, the end of course survey, what could be done to improve this course? Nothing, it is well shaped. Never thought of a course as having a shape. I'm not sure what shape that is, but just some of the data, we are now able to process this. And what we can do with it, one option is a triage project. We have designers on hand to handle emergencies, things that need done in the moment because students are suffering. Students are unable to progress in the course. And so we can kick it to a designer and say, please work with the course lead or the OCR and make sure this is fixed in the current semester. With our new publisher model, it's a little harder to get things done in the moment because the reference course is no longer tied to the sections. And usually you fix it in your own section now if it's an emergency. And if not, it gets fixed in the reference, and the next semester you'll see that improvement, that change. But if it's something important and the student team can't fix it through ticketing, we have designers on hand in the moment. We have kind of a slush fund of time that we can use for emergencies like that. Or it might be an improvement project, textbook updates, redevelopments. There was a question about, do I have it redeveloped or do I have it improved? I'm not sure who what. Number 2, or maybe the first one. Always give me a call if you're not sure, how your course is doing. I can help provide you with the data. I can help get you in touch with a designer who will help sit down with you and the course lead, look at the vision of the course. Where are we now? Where do we need to go? How far off are we? Do we need to propose this for a redevelopment, or do we just need to have a few targeted things done to the course, kind of give it a facelift and freshen it up? And those are always planned in advance. Right now, we're planning projects for the fall. And then the maintenance team, which you're very familiar with, submitting tickets and getting things done that way. So if we can come back to the list here and see which ones we still have. Does pathway-specific feedback influence course design? This is a fascinating question. Steve Adams, I know in the back, is interested in that. We're actually working on something right now. We're investigating. For those who don't know, we have around 300 courses that are different, distinct courses. In about 250 actual core courses. You might have GS 120, and then the L version, and then the gathering version, and then there's several, then the block version for some courses. And so we're exploring the idea of how can we have one reference course, one course, but using roles and permissions, identify the students who may be pathway and restrict visibility on some things. And so they see certain things and the rest of the class doesn't see those things. So we're looking at the possibility of doing that. And so that might address some of this. I don't know if you had any words on that, Peter.
No, I just, as I was kind of doing an inventory on our list here as you were talking a little bit, Steve, and I was thinking, I wanted to just ask, so does everybody know, how do you request a project? If you're the OCR, how do you request a project? If you're an instructor, how do you request an improvement?
My understanding, I could be wrong, because I'm learning a lot.
Thanks for being bold.
I'm an OCR, I need to go through my course lead.
Steve, you want to talk about the bandit sheet or anything like that? The bandit, not the bandit sheet.
I think in the case on this kind of request, certainly we encourage as much counsel and communication within the course council as possible. And, an OCR can certainly email me or work with their OCRM and say, I think this course needs this. Okay. But if I go then and talk to the course lead about that, and it comes out of the blue, there's kind of a disconnect. So we would always encourage counsel, talk together, be on the same page. And then either one of you, if you wanted to give me a call or the course lead gives me a call, it doesn't matter so much on my end.
Okay, and that's kind of where I was going, that if I talk with him and he says, hey, yeah, go ahead, that sounds great, go ahead and send it through. Right. Then it's good, but just don't circumvent, you might say.
Right, and then I'll type it up and I'll kind of document what we need based on what the email or the phone call says. And I'll usually just be in touch with the course lead anyway. We're planning this. Is this your understanding? This is kind of what we're kind of packaging. We have a lot of this much time next semester to get that done. How do you feel about that? And we put it on the books. We can never guarantee or promise that it'll happen because we've taken all the requests, we put them all in the bucket, and that goes to this question here, the prioritization. Every semester, for the last year at least, because of the transition, there's been too many projects to do and not enough time to do them. And we had hoped to convert like 10 or 15 more courses to block versions, to have more block offerings this summer. But those had to be pushed off because they weren't as critical as other projects that needed to be done to improve the quality of an existing course. So every semester we sit down and kind of wrestle about that.
What's a block offering?
A short and condensed version of a 14-week course is one we can offer in the summer as a 7-week, during that 7-week break, or during the first half of one semester or the second half of a regular 14-week version.
So how do I request the project? Talk with Steve if you're an OCR, and when in doubt, use the fix form. I wrote that on here. Always do something with the idea, though. Don't just sit on the idea. If you've got an idea, submit it through the fixed form if you don't know what else to do with it. And I think that talked about this one too. Let's see, how to do fixed projects or improvement projects in a scaled course, fixed form, talk with Steve through an OCR. And let's see, how are projects decided? Steve was talking about that. We got to prioritize so that we can allocate resources on the most important things. I touched on that a little bit too, with taking into account enrollments and things like that there. This one, let's talk about this one offline. This is a specific FH Gen project. What do we do when we have a weird exception course lead situation? Let's talk about that. Okay, but for everybody else, how do I want to find out who the course lead is? Obviously, you've got your directory. You can look up in the directory, make sure you know who your course lead is if you're an OCR. How to propose new course offerings. On this one, I think, when in doubt, submit something to the fixed form because we'll find something to do with whatever question you've got. But this one, probably the best way to propose a new course offering might just be through your TGL, actually, passing that on up the line, because it might have to do with the program or whatever. Eventually, that sort of thing probably ought to make its way to Dean of Online Programs. Remember, I talked about how we'd really love to have a strategy where the market is pulling from us what is most important to the market. And it's a trap that we can fall into as a university to push up topics from the bottom. I love this topic. I don't know why everybody else in the world wouldn't love it, and we can push up our topics. And you probably do have a really good one that the market really does love and want. But anyways, that's sort of our mechanism, is let's get it through that Dean of Online Programs eventually and check it out with market research and stuff.
So
probably the last question and then we're done. But
if the TGL is not sure what department it fits in, so didn't pass it on because of that, then
Why don't you talk to us afterwards? I'm
Yeah.
really curious.
Let's do that one after.
Okay, and just an overarching thing, the one thing I wanted to really just emphasize is give us the data. Never feel scared to check in, either through your OCRMs, your OCRs, or TGLs, and whoever it is. The communication now, the channels are open, the outlets are there. We have all of this data that we can now make actionable. So never feel afraid. The surveys you take, maybe online instructors maybe hate doing surveys every week or every 2 or 3 weeks, whenever you do those. Those actually are read. The student comments, students might hate surveys, but we look at those. We pull those, they're kind of funny sometimes. But sometimes they trigger something that's actually a real problem in a course. And they think they're just filling it out, blah, 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 submit. But we do look at those, and they are important. So any bit of feedback that you can provide is fantastic. It might not always go somewhere, but it might. And it might improve student experience for years to come. So please always provide as much feedback as you feel is necessary.
There you have it, the good, the bad, the beautiful. Feel free to come up afterwards if you've got more questions. Thanks.
Thank you.